Good morning, Carol. Thank you very much for joining me today. We're delighted to interview Carol Thompson, who is broker in Port Stanley in Canada, as well as a real estate agent in Costa Rica in Banca. And actually, I met Carol through a mutual friend as a client many moons ago, and as we helped you buy sight unseen the house that you're being interviewed from today, I believe.
That's right. My glorious backdrop is all thanks to you. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thanks for having me, Dan. I'm happy to be here.
No, I thank you, Carolyn. Really excited to dive into maybe a little bit more of your past, actually, which I'm not as familiar with, is your current success
Yeah.
within Coldwell Banker. So, first question I want to kick off with is how did you get where you are today, and where is that geographically and in your business as well?
Yeah. Okay. So I started my career, geez, it's been almost 20 years ago. So it's been a while. I started out basically my husband and I, we were looking to buy real estate and get into more investment real estate. And then, I actually felt like it was something I was kind of good at and wanted to actually become a real estate agent instead of just buying property, fixing them up, renting them out, selling off, that kind of thing. So, funny enough, my realtor, my very first realtor back in Canada, became my mentor. So,
Okay.
yeah, I met him. He was, he had been in the game for a long time himself, and a lovely human being. And so, yeah, I got my license. And yeah, I started mentoring with him. And I was always one that to sell just cutter houses was never my thing. So I always liked to niche market myself, which back then they were like, oh, that's just real estate suicide. And I said, no, no, I don't want to work with everybody. I want to be particular. I want to work with people that, sort of have those like-minded people for myself. So that's what I did. When I was in the city, I was selling character homes, like old century beautiful homes. A lot of them were heritage homes. And then eventually I was like, yeah, okay, I don't want to be in the city anymore. We moved out to the lake. Being a bit of a beach bum, you always gravitate to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I just focused on just selling beach houses, and that was it. And there was still a lot of old century and character homes and history and a lot of cool things. So that's how I built my career, is just being with somebody to learn the ropes and then moving on to do what you love to do and what you're passionate about, and niche marketing. And funny enough, it was a huge success.
What,
So
what,
it's a lot of fun.
what were you doing before real estate?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've always been a little bit more of an entrepreneur. So I like owning my own business. I am not a 9 to 5er, never was. So I started out, boy, my education started out being sort of fashion design, interior design, and business. And that's what I went to school for. I loved design with the fashion and stuff, but I mean, there's not a whole lot of money, and it's just sort of a fun, you know, it's just a fun thing to do, right? It became more of a hobby, but I actually had a business where I was designing and doing stuff, and living in Toronto, in a major city. And then, yeah, and then I kind of got in, I used a little bit more of my interior design. I started, I actually got more out of sort of the fashion and more into the sportswear, because I'm a little bit more of a sporty girl. And I was working for all sorts of like Columbia Sportswear, North Face, like all those big brands. And I was going in and setting up all of their stores, and I was doing a lot of mentoring and teaching, and teaching people how to essentially how to sell that kind of product. And especially for a lot of travelers. So I was a little bit more focused on that. And then sure enough, yeah, I just love doing the interior design and setting up stores and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, I might as well do it in real estate as I moved forward. So I've had a lot of different careers in my life.
Oh, good for you, Carol. I didn't, I never knew that you had a design background. That's interesting.
Yeah. It all came from design and business. And I always wanted to have, my own business. I just wanted to work for myself and I enjoyed doing that. And I always wanted to work in, if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. So every sort of job that I've done, even while I was doing real estate, I still loved opening up businesses. So I had an eco clothing store. My husband and I did a surf shop, paddleboard shop. So it was more, just always getting into, I sell more lifestyle, I guess, is sort of where I was always leading into. What do you love to do? Then you go and you do it.
That's awesome. That's great. And to have, I think to kind of follow your entrepreneurial roots and have a little bit of something here and a little bit of something there as well is really interesting. And
Absolutely. I was always one where you never put all your eggs in one basket, right? Industries, you got to ride though, you got to ride as a surfer, Dan, this, you got to ride the waves of the economy, right?
yeah,
Real estate's great, but it will, it will come and go and there's good years and bad years and the economy shifts in those kinds of things. So always having sort of a backup, a secondary was always my, my focus. And you have to sort of enjoy and love. And I actually met a lot of clients that way. People would come shopping in my eco store. Then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're an agent too. I'm going to use you. And, and all these things were in a smaller village. So people came to shop. They came to surf and paddleboard with us and create that life. And then, we were there to sell them a home and create their life as well.
it's interesting. It's almost reverse marketing, isn't it? You're turning your
Right.
existing clients into other clients from one of your other businesses and keeping that circle
Absolutely.
flowing.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, there was, you keep that flow going and there was money to be made throughout and the good times, are great, but then, when the bad times hit, much like, now COVID hit and it was a huge time, we were all making money at that point because real estate was going crazy.
Yeah.
But funny enough, the only activity that people could do was get out and surf and paddleboard. So that business took off, where our clothing business maybe took a little bit more of a hit because you couldn't be in the stores. So that's where we sort of diversified and made sure that no matter what's happening out in the world, you still have an income stream coming in somehow.
Yeah, that's really I think that's really, really clever of you guys to have set that up, but not only to kind of spread your bets a little bit, but also, like I said, to keep the majority of those businesses feeding back into the main producer, which is obviously
Mm.
real estate. Real estate.
Yeah. Yep. And we made it very family oriented too. So while I love working and I keep busy, my mom loved to do the clothing store. So it was something that I got to do with her. Derek and I liked the surf and paddleboard shop. So it was something that we could do together. So even though we were working and we were still having fun, we still had all of our family involved in it. And sometimes our friends too. So it was yeah, you kind of add that social aspect in with your work and again, it never feels like work.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I've seen a lot of people pushing at the moment about kind of really focusing on your ideal clients and trying to work with those people as opposed to trying to shoehorn yourself into every different client's wants and needs, but
That's
really
right.
really tie your basically find who you want to work with
Yeah.
and things go a lot easier. And I find that the deals way, or the deals that you do with clients that you really do get on with, go
Mhm.
so much smoother. I think you're a
Oh,
little bit more
absolutely.
invested, they're a little bit
Yeah.
more accepting.
Yeah. Absolutely. It makes it a lot more fun and again, that's sort of why you do it. You get to, sort of feel like you're connecting and helping with them and really, I know sort of back 20 years ago when I started, it's all numbers, go, go, go. You got to work with everybody. And when I came up with, no, I just want to work with who I want to work with. And I
Yeah.
just want to niche market myself. They were like, you're going to fail. Like, you're going to fail. This isn't how you do this. And it's like, well, why not? Why do I have to do it your way? And that's how it was. It was always just, crunching numbers and staying on it, cold calling and these days that's such an old way of doing real estate where now there's a whole different ball game where you can be more creative with it and yeah and choose who you want to work with and then if you like working with those people those referrals typically those friends, you know, birds of a feather
Yeah.
flock together, right? Very old saying, and it's very true. You know, they'll have good friends and good referrals, and you grow your business and you enjoy it, and you know, again, you love your business that way.
It's nice that we're in this in the position now, like you said, you know, I see, you know, your social media and your marketing and your stories of you on the beach giving us market updates and property updates whilst
Yeah,
walking the dogs on the beach.
that's
Whereas I
right.
feel that 5, 10 years ago, that's something that would have been deemed as unprofessional,
Yep,
or you
yep.
know, you couldn't get away with that.
That's right. I was very hated for a long time with that stuff. Everybody was like, "Where's your suit?" And I'm like, "I'm not wearing a suit. I wear ripped jeans and a tank top, and that's my go-to. Like, I'm not changing who I am. And if somebody wants to work with a suit, I will refer them to the suit. If
Yeah.
somebody wants to take me for who I am, I'm not, you know, I'm not getting dressed up and selling that. I want to sell you a house. Like, let's just be comfortable and casual and get real with each other and go out and get you what you want." And those were the clients that I liked working with. I still remember there was one day I was selling, I think it was a $2 million home, and I showed up in my Jeep with the top off, my ripped jean shorts on, and a tank top. And the other agent, showed up in his Maserati and a suit and all his, you know, bling and gold. And he's just like, "Well, what do you think you're doing?" And I'm like, "I'm here to sell a house. Like, what do you think you're doing?" And it was just that really funny attitude where I'm just like, seriously, like, just because you're in a Maserati doesn't mean that you know anything different than I know. And
Yep.
he actually said, he goes, "Do you really want to work with somebody like that?" She goes, "Absolutely. That's why we chose her."
Really,
And I'm like, "Let's go do the deal." And, you know, and it was a great deal. And he said, "Wow, this was actually a fun deal to do." And I'm like, "Yeah, I bet you don't get a lot of those, do you?"
yeah, exactly. That's such a
Yeah.
good story, and I think it's so true, isn't it? You know, don't prejudge the person. You know, just because somebody's in ripped jeans and a tank top doesn't mean that they're not actually really on top of their game and have the complete trust of the buyer and their client with them. And
That's right. And it was kind of nice when negotiating. He kind of was just like, "Yeah, I didn't see you coming." And I'm like, "That's the whole
yeah,
point." You know, you didn't see it coming and I won. So thank you.
thank you. And the result is the clients are happy, everybody gets paid, and you're on to the next one.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And I still hear from those clients all the time. They're like, "We just love this house. We're so happy." And I'm like, "Great."
Great. Yeah, keep calling me and let me know when you're ready to sell, and we'll carry on. Um, Carol, what changes would you make to the start of your career getting into real estate that you know now? So, you know, what kind of knowledge have you
Yeah.
gained in the last 20 years of experience in selling houses that you wish you could give yourself 20 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started, of course, you know, you want to listen to everybody. I did have a really good mentor, and he was very positive about, you know, do it your way and figure it out. But the brokerages, you know, that I was working for, they were all very, you know, old school, and, you know, you have to do it. This is the model. We've been doing it, you know, since real estate started. This is the model. You got to follow it. Go, go, go. You got to be number one, get the numbers in. And, you know, and they always favored, you know, whoever got number one, that's their favorite person. And it's just like, okay, but it's not about, you know, how many listings did you get and how much money have you brought in? And, you know, that is such a, you know, yeah, it's business, but we're not in business. It is personal. You're dealing with personal people that are making the largest investment that they ever will in their lives. You know, they're not going to the store to buy a dress. They're not going to, you know, out to buy, you know, a car or, you know, furnishings for their house. This is a big deal. It's a big investment, and you need to be personal with them. It needs to mean something, and, you know, it can't just be about the dollars. So to me, I was always, you know, every time I got an award for being, you know, successful in this and that, I just tossed them out. I want the award where, you know, somebody was happy, they enjoyed my
Yeah.
time, I made a difference in their life, and I'll take that award. You know, you had a fun transaction, great. Was it smooth? Perfect. Those are things that were something in the career. So very early on, I was listening because that's what you're being told to do. And, that first year or two, I struggled. I struggled a lot where I'm just like, gosh, this is just not who I am. It's, am I being moral? Am I being correct? Like it's, you're telling me to go, 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 but that's just, it's not fitting who I am as a person. Um, and I actually hated real estate when I started. Absolutely hated it.
What
Funny
reason?
enough,
Just
yeah, I think it was just you're filled with a lot of other people that were just, it's sort of eat or be eaten. It's let's kill each other and take advantage of each other and beat each other up. Nobody was working kindly together. There were never nice words to each other half the time. I mean, who wants to be in that sort of negative environment, right? And you don't need to be. And and where people would deem your success is, did you win an award? Did you, make your numbers, whatever, right? And to me, yeah, I absolutely hated doing that. It had no meaning or no value to me. And if I had to sell one more cookie cutter condo house on a main street, I was gonna like and funny enough, on a vacation down in Costa Rica, that's where I was like to my husband, I'm like, I'm gonna stay down here. I'm gonna sell real estate. Like, this is my vibe. This is who I am. And I still remember him sitting there and he goes, you're getting on the plane. You're going home. We have beaches in Canada. Figure it out. And sure enough, I was like, okay, kind of have a point.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I did. And it was the best time in my career. I've really enjoyed it.
Was there a particular moment where you kind of had the click from actually, I'm not going to take the script calls, the KPIs. I'm switching it back from brokerage style and this is how we're doing it. I'm doing it Carol's way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, everybody thought I was nuts. Like, they honestly said, "You're gonna fail. You're not gonna be successful doing this." And I'm like, "Meh, well, then it'll be my failure, and I don't care." But I did very early on. I didn't do the cold calling, hated it. I absolutely me, myself, I hated it. I got home from work, and all of a sudden, your phone's ringing off the hook because, solicitors are calling for everything, and I'm just like, "Oh my God. Oh my God." Like, I just want to eat my dinner in peace. Like, stop knocking on my door. And it was very much, you could tell by 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, the phone was ringing, the doors were knocking, and you're like, this is horrible. I don't want to be one of these people. I don't
Yeah.
want to annoy my clients. So I never did any of that stuff. I wanted to do it very organically, where I didn't have to be pushy in my sales. I didn't have to cold call. I didn't have to be another annoying person on somebody else's day and make their day even worse. So I just, I do what I like to do. I like to do charity work. I get involved with, dogs and, dog walking with our friends in our community and setting up fun events like that. Um, so yeah, I just got out there and did a lot of charity work and I always love to give back. So even out of my commissions, anything that we made, both Derek and I love to give back to our community somehow. So yeah, that's how I started out is just, if you do something nice for somebody else, people remember that. And if they use me as an agent, that's great. And if they don't, oh well. I don't I
Well,
don't care.
I
We'll let it
imagine you don't.
naturally happen.
I imagine you don't get many OLs. I imagine you have a pretty high retention rate of your clients.
I do. So far, there's very few that you might, it might be somebody where, maybe they had a family member that got into real estate and they're like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
I feel obligated. And I'd be like, yes, you are obligated. It's your family. Like, if you have questions or they need help because they're new, just, I'll help you along and I don't want anything for it. It's, that's great. I'm glad there's somebody new getting into the industry and wanting help and doing stuff. So yeah, that's probably the only time I've lost clients. My retention rate has been great. I still have some of my clients have turned out to be really lovely friends too. It's been nice. Yeah.
And that again, when you get to that point when you've got clients that are in that position, you then find your referral system running and running, and you
Yes.
must deal with Carol, you must do it, and
Yep.
eventually you've got the confidence that you've installed into people. You've got fresh people coming to you with the same level of confidence because
Mhm.
Steve from down the street bought a
Yep.
house from you and had a wonderful experience, and he said you're the only realtor I can use, and all of a
That's
sudden they're
right.
not interested in Maserati guy or any of the
Yep.
other the KPI guys.
That's right.
I think that's great, Carol, and congratulations on nailing on nailing your niche.
Yeah,
It's
thanks.
funny. I was talking to Matt Rosensteel just the
Yes,
other day
yep,
actually about this, and very similarly, it's very similarly how he turned, how he focused on Hunky Al and just became the
yeah,
absolute pillar of real estate for his community. And
yep,
many people, myself included, were thinking,
yep,
that's not where the money is, Matt. There's bigger fish
yeah,
outside of town, and
yep.
he proved us wrong as well. So that
Yeah.
definitely went
Yeah,
well for
there's
both
enough
sides.
out there for us all. And, and then when you do focus on these smaller villages, which is sort of what I always like to do, right? I'm not a city girl. I'm just not that person. I like having the smaller villages because then you get to know everybody and you're a part of that village and, you make a difference. And then you're donating back into that village too, right? When
Yeah.
when you're giving of your commissions and your paychecks and you're giving them back to the community some way, you really feel connected to that. And then it grows. So sometimes it's not always just that little village, then it's the village next to it and it's another village next to it because they're so close that you can kind of now do that entire surroundings. So yeah, sometimes just grabbing that one, you just got to focus on one neighborhood or one little village or one area. And there's people are moving all the time.
Yeah, and that's it. People are always
Yep.
moving or building or buying and expanding
Yep.
families, etc.
Yeah.
Um, Carol, what is your biggest success story? And with that, I don't mean the biggest multi-million-dollar mansion villa that you saw, but one that really made you feel good.
Yep. Mine is more a scenario than an actual like one particular deal. And actually it's kind of nice. I got a little teary yesterday. I don't know what it was about Sunday yesterday, but I've sold some properties to different clients. Either whether it's, on a beach, lake, maybe it's just a specific, hobby farm or whatever, right? And so for me, I'm more of a lifestyle. I am all about how do you want to enjoy your life? You got to work, but how do you want to live? And I do get a lot of people coming to me and saying, it's not about the house. It's, this is how I want to wake up in the day and do this and that. So I always get photographs from time to time and somebody sitting there with a cup of coffee and their beautiful view or doing something on their home with their animals or, whatever it is. And you made a difference. You know that they were nervous about getting to their dream. They didn't know how to do it. And sure enough, years later, they're sitting there on their deck with their family looking at this gorgeous view and they're just like, I've never been happier in my entire life. So yeah, that to me is the win. Making somebody else enjoy their life as much as I do is kind of an exciting thing.
Yeah, and
and
being
it's
responsible for it.
yeah, yeah, that you kind of, you get people who are just like, I have an idea, I just don't know how to do it. I would love to do this. It just seems so far-fetched and out of reach. And I'll be like, okay, well, let's sit down and talk about it. And you start at the beginning and you get to that end, and then they get years of fun on it. One of my clients yesterday, she had to live in the city, but she wanted to feel like she had a country property. And I found this horrible broken down home. But it was in the middle of the city and it had all this land and the deer and the bunnies and the berries and it was just nobody wanted this house because they just thought it was a derelict, tear down, somebody should come in and put a high-rise building on that land, right? And she's like, wow, I could see how we could do this. And she got somebody to renovate and it's still the cute little house, but it's all brand new inside now. And she sent me a picture and there were deer and they were eating the blueberries that she had planted. And
Oh,
her son is growing up and they were out there with their dogs. And she's just like, Carol, another year with my life like this. And, you just sit there and like, yeah, good. Because it
yeah.
seemed impossible. She's just had this task where she's like, I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, all right, let's figure it out.
And those are the successes that are so important as a realtor or broker or real estate agent, whatever title you want to give yourself, because money's great. We all enjoy money. I think that's one of the reasons that we're in sales. But also there's the other side of it, which is the joy of putting somebody where they're supposed to be or helping somebody reach
Yeah,
their dreams, and that's a wonderful example.
it
Uh,
is. It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah, and so anybody says, "Why are you in real estate?" That's why.
Yeah.
It is a job, and yeah, we do need to make money and buy our own house and live our dreams too. But I always put a limit on that too. I've had a lot of real estate friends that, it's money, 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 go, 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 and they don't know how to turn it off, and they don't know how to balance it out and go, how much do you need?
Yeah.
To really, there has to be a shut off. There has to be a limit, give yourselves those limits and tell yourself you don't need to be the number one salesperson in there. You just need to be number one in your own life and doing what you need to do. So yeah, so if you can kind of make a success out of your own life and at everybody else's, then yeah, I mean, it's a huge win all around.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's some pretty solid advice. Um, what what goals have you got in your business for the next 6 months?
Yeah. Finding that balance. So, okay, so now, now that I'm here in Costa Rica, I'm sort of building and trying to figure that out, right? So my niche market, I was known as the go-to beach gal, right? Nobody else was really doing that. Here everybody's selling beaches, so that's not really a niche market here. So for me, I'm really trying to hone in again on, where am I passionate? What do I really want to focus on? What will be my niche? Or do I go back and just do the same thing that I had and create it in a smaller village as well? So there is a little bit of tweaking. It's still, getting into that early stages of it. Um, right now, it's funny. I don't hate any of it. Unless I have to go into a really busy area and the traffic's nuts, then I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in the city again." But yeah, I really like these smaller areas, and it's peaceful and quiet and you're finding these like-minded people. So that is where I'm sort of, getting into and really trying to hone in on who am I going to be down here? What is truly going to make, the rest of my career as happy as the first part of my career. So those are my goals right now. So I'm in a little bit of research and feeling it out, trying different things, and yeah, I think I'm getting there.
Yeah, I think so. Is part of of what you're doing now, so sort of, not necessarily bucking the trend, but kind of avoiding the hottest markets around and actually focusing and putting more time and energy into the smaller markets. Is there
Yeah,
some future proofing around that? That obviously at some point, if one of those markets does happen to blow up and you see a lot more volume in sales and prices are increasing, etc., but you've already established yourself as the
right.
go-to authority of real
Yep.
estate in that area. When the
Yeah.
blow up happens, everybody's coming. We want to talk to Carol. She knows the area.
Yeah, yep, and that's exactly it. I see that there are a ton of real estate agents, like there always are in the main areas, because sometimes that's just the easy way to go, right? There's a lot of turnover, there's a lot of people, there's dollars to be had, so they sort of go in and they get started in there. But then, they're also killing each other for a deal, right? There's too many people and it's an oversaturated areas. So yeah, I am really trying to figure out, each village that I go to. I see areas that, in another 10 years, they're going to be like the hot go-to areas, right?
Yeah.
They're exploding. So it is nice to get in there and have people recognize that, okay, you're the go-to person on this. And there is a few villages that I'm working on, and I will probably do, two or three villages that are close together, so that as one starts to develop, you're sort of moving along. And that's probably what we'll do as well. Like we figured, okay, we're in a very quiet area. We love the house that you got us, so thank you very much. But
My
as
pleasure.
the street and the neighborhoods are all starting to build up, we know in another 10 years, this is going to be too busy for me and I won't be able to handle it. So
Really?
we will be like, okay, where's our next village? Where do we want to go as well? And let's start working down towards that, so that when we move from here, we're now in an area that I'm already working and enjoying and it's still quiet.
Okay. That's fantastic, and good luck with that. And I think good foresighting and good planning for the future. And also as
Yeah,
well, if you know the area and you're planning to move at some point, you'll also know where the bargains are, and you better pick yourselves up a good deal
Absolutely.
and
That's
sell high and
right.
buy low in a new emerging market.
That's right. And that's what, my husband and I have done that our whole lives. We've always, bought where everybody's just like, are you crazy? Why are you buying on that street? That's nuts. And I'd be like, well, if you don't know, a developer just bought all the way down that street. So I know it's all going to be, something's going to be done. And we bought that little crappy house
Yeah,
that, we're fixing up and we're doing what we want to do and we'll live there. Usually we plan, that sort of 10-year area. And we did that in the city many times. And then, eventually I was like, okay, I really need to be in the country. And we bought the little crappy house in the middle of nowhere. And sure enough, everybody's like, you'll never make money on this. And it was probably our, highest earning, which ended up getting us here because we bought it for nothing and we sold,
yeah, you
sold it
sell it right
essentially.
at the top.
We sell it right at the top. Like so far in that neighborhood, still nobody has actually sold for what we did. And it's because we took something and made a really unique property out of it. So yeah, we just keep doing that because it's been successful. And yeah, you buy low, sell high, you're good.
There you go. That's the
Yeah.
spirit. I got time for one last question with you,
Sure.
and that is, what is the best piece of advice you can give somebody today who's trying to start in real estate?
Yeah, don't beat yourself up.
Okay,
It's
interesting.
not, there is no real, there's no real mathematics to this, right? You just, and I think I've seen a few of your posts where you're like, yeah, follow your leads, be accountable for your time, all those things. Absolutely. When you are working for yourself and you're being an independent, person out there and you don't have somebody sitting over top of you as a boss telling you that you need to do this and you need to do this and then this, you need to manage yourself. But while you've got those basic skills and you can make yourself accountable, get up every day, do your job, be happy, get in there. Just don't beat yourself up. Not everything is going to work out perfect. You're going to learn a lot along the way. You're going to make mistakes. Ask questions. Don't be too proud. Keep the
Yeah.
pride totally way out of it. Ask questions, learn from other people. There's so many of us out there that, we all have different advice and we can all help. So yeah, just don't beat yourself up. It's not an easy job. You are working with a lot of different personalities and different things, that you got to figure out in the beginning stages. So take time, figure it out, make those errors. And if you don't like something, then just try something else and then form your career.
Okay. I think that's
Yeah.
really solid advice, I think. And people forget, don't they, that, enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun. That's the whole point of this. That's why you're not, as you mentioned, in an office or a standard 9 to 5 job. And that's the beauty of being
Yeah,
in real estate, is that you get a huge amount of flexibility. You get to pick your niche, you get to work with who you want.
that's
Um,
right.
I think it's really important to stay on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carol, thank you so much. I'm sure you
It's my
have
pleasure.
a busy day, more
Yes.
beaches and dogs to
Off
walk.
to get
And
another listing.
are you really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, off to get another listing and a beautiful, beautiful mountain view, and I can't wait to go and see it.
Wow, I can't wait to see it
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, yeah, I'll take a picture, I'll send it to you.
Please do. Carol,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Yeah,
Have a great day. Good luck with your listing. And
thank
thank you
you.
again for all of
Yeah,
your time today.
no problem at all. Thanks for having me, Dan. Enjoy.
All the best. Take care, Carol.
Okay, take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.